Hey guys, welcome to the CLG Faithful Fancast. This is episode 8 for the week of March 20th to 26th. I'm Artrin, one of your usual co-hosts. Unfortunately, Nefarious is feeling really ill this week, so we're going to let him have the week off. I've had some in real life stuff come up as well this past couple of weeks, so that's why I wasn't around last week. This week it's just me, so let's get right to it. So, in the lull scene, we had CLG versus Immortals. Unfortunately, at the very last minute, pretty much, the night before, Stixay was sent to the hospital with some throat issues. This sucked, and Aframu ended up stepping in for ADC. And then we had Joey, who's our sub for mid, sub in for support. He basically flew in overnight on 12 hours notice to sub into this game so CLG didn't have to forfeit and actually got to play the games. So I'm going to give a huge prop to Joey for showing up on that because that was awesome. Anyways, let's get to these games because, oh man, it was bad. Game 1 was just, we got stomped pretty hard. Bot lane was super rough. It's quite clear that Aframu, while he used to play ADC and not having any time for these guys to practice together, it was pretty clear that it wasn't that great. One really great note was that who he went and did really well with Ahri hit a lot of his charms, so that was awesome. Unfortunately, game 1 was just a complete routing. And game 2 was a little bit of the same. Bot lane was super hard on Afro as ADC. I mean, these guys, they've never had any time to practice. This was Joey's first ever time playing in the LCS. So again, huge props to this guy. We ended up getting crushed again. Darshan did pretty well in top lane as Fizz, but in the end, it was a pretty harsh Saturday. Immortals 2-0'd us. But I mean, you know what? I'd rather watch that happen than CLG just straight up forfeit. So props to those guys. Super big props to Joey. Thanks for coming out and helping us so we didn't have to forfeit. Then we'll move on to CLG versus Envy because that was way better. So Stixay did come back, but unfortunately because of the resubbing of Stixay in for Joey, we had to give up our first ban on game 1. And that made it pretty tough. We got wrecked pretty hard. It was a rather bad stomp. And I was really kind of scared that maybe Stixay really shouldn't have been playing and just resting up for playoffs. However, then game 2 came around. And holy balls, what a turnaround. CLG was looking in peak form for game 2. Huhi gets his favorite Orianna pick. Stixay goes rock hard on Caitlyn. Darshan gets his signature gangplank. And Smithy gets to play the fat man Gragas. I mean, it was a complete reverse of what happened in game 1. We stomped the crap out of Envy and showed them how CLG plays League. Huhi ended up going 9-0-8 on Orianna. Darshan went 4-1-9 on the plank. And he had some amazing crits. Like just brutal damage. And then Smithy had some amazing setups on Gragas. It was great play by everyone. Alright, we're going to go on to game 3. And I'm going to give you guys just a heads up. If you want to take a trip to your local hospital, stop listening right now and go watch the VOD of this game. I'll put a link in the description because that's what would happen if you're a CLG fan watching this game. I just want you to know that. Okay, this game was quite the doozy. Around 20 minutes in, it looked like CLG was just going to absolutely stomp all over Envy again. Like, this was ridiculous. They had top inhibitor. Darshan was just crushing. They were doing their 1-3-1 split. And it was just a complete dissection of Envy. And then, like, I don't know what it was. But, like, probably 15 minutes later, Envy gets a crazy ace on CLG. And basically allows them, who had like minions pushing into their base, like they turtled for 37 more minutes. I don't think for 37 minutes at any point did Envy leave their base. But their team comp was just so designed around late game, whereas ours, we had Stixay on Lucian, Darshan on Shen. It was just, and then also having Hu-He on Echo. It was very pick and like early game focused. So what happened with the late game was that Lucian couldn't go quite as ham as he normally could. But you know what? In the end, 67 minutes, the longest and 2017 spring split game. We get a pick on Ninja. They go, all right, you know what? Let's end this. They fight on the inhibit or on the Nexus, and then boom, they win. Awesome. It was quite the heart attack fest. Everyone was calling it just quite the clown fiesta. It was fantastic. So we 2-1 Envy, who are now, they got dead last. Team Liquid actually ended up getting 9th place because of a win over TSM, which I was super happy about. So with that, CLG finishes 4th in the NA LCS Spring Split and will face FlyQuest in 2 weeks in the playoffs. I really can't wait because I really hope that we beat FlyQuest. I don't even care if it's a 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, whatever. I've got tickets to the NALCS finals here in Vancouver, and I want to be able to go there, rep CLG, and just chant like mad as they stomp and win the whole split. Oh, I can't wait. All right, guys, so let's move this on to CSGO. So there was quite a lot of CSGO from the boys in blue this weekend. So to start things off, they played in a Star Ladder I-League qualifier. Because a team dropped out, CLG and Renegades had to play for the final spot in the Star Ladder I-League LAN, which is going to happen in Kiev, Ukraine. It was a best of 3 with the maps being Train, then Overpass, then Mirage. So map 1. CLG was up 3 rounds really quick. And then in a crazy 1 versus 3 post-bomb plant situation, Ethan was crazy. FNS goes down to a headshot. Ethan turns around. He sees the guy up on the overpass ledge. Boom, headshot, done. Then he picks off 1 more. And then as the timer is waning down, Yams on Renegades, their opper, misses a point-blank shot on Ethan. Realizes he doesn't have enough time to fight this. Tries to run and save his op because it's round 4 op. Guess what? Ethan's like, all right, sweet man. He books it as well. Ethan's got more health though. Bomb explodes. CLG wins the round. Yam still dies because he's so low on health. Loses his op. He should have just stayed and fought. Oh well, we'll take it. Then, I mean, from that point on, it really didn't stop. Rick A has a great 2v1 clutch in round 13, making it 12-1 for CLG. And then, basically from that point on, they really don't lose a whole lot more. CLG ends up winning Train 16-8, with Kusta topping the frag list going 24-12 with an average damage per round of 101.3, meaning every round, on average, he got 1 kill. Alright, so map 2 was Overpass, and CLG just showed them exactly what they just showed them. They take down the first half 11-4. Then, in what should have been a loss for them in an eco round, Ricky went absolutely ham. They're in, like, I think it's called, like, sewer. I'm not sure. Anyways, so they're in there. He's got a deagle. All of CLG's in there. And then, like, for whatever reason, Renegades decides to try and get behind them. He gets a 4K with a deagle and then aces Renegades, who are in full AK and armor, with their own AK. He gets a freaking ace on an eco round with a deagle. I mean, that basically turned it around from there, and we took the map 16-9. So with that win, CLG actually qualified for the Star Ladder I-League in Kiev, Ukraine, which is the first time in quite a while that we've qualified for a LAN. So that is awesome. Alright, so then we move on to the ESL Pro League. Back to our regular standard stuff. This was against NRG. Map 1 was Overpass, and it wasn't a bad showing. We ended up losing the map 11-16, and they put up a great fight, but Energy really showed why they were above us in the standings. Map 2 was Inferno. Super close map. This one went and they split both halves. 7-8, 8-7, ends up in OT. A cool one in round 14, just basically to help start a comeback. Kusta had a crazy 4K with his op from Library to win the round, and basically started that half comeback. In the end, though, we did lose OT 4-1, so that makes us go 0-2 against NRG, but truthfully, aside from some bad aiming issues and kind of unlucky trades, you know what? We showed that we were really good, and that's exactly why CLG is going to the LAN. All right, so next up was versus Immortal. This was for seeding for the Star Leader I-League in Kiev, so it wasn't crazy huge, but it did mean that if we won it, we got a better seed. But Immortals is a Brazilian team, and they are actually really good. It was a best of 3. Map 1 was Mirage. Not really a lot to say here. Immortals really showed why they were not a secondary qualifying team for Kiev. They ended up beating us 5-16. Wasn't really a great map for us, and Immortals really did show why they are the masters of it. Map 2 was Cobblestone. This one was actually a lot closer. We ended up losing 13-16, but it really showed how well the Brazilians on Immortals are really good, but that CLG could hold their own against these high-ranked teams. Ricky showed us that he could also use a op just as well as Kusta in round 8, getting 2 clutch kills to win the round. And then after that, we moved on to some more ESL Pro League, and we were up against Team Liquid. Whew, map 1 was close, but the scoreboard really showed that the difference in this. Everyone on CLG either went even or better. Only one person on Liquid went even in kills, deaths, assist ratios. It was fantastic. It was Nitro going just above. It wasn't the cleanest game, but anytime CLG beats Liquid, that's awesome in my books. Match 2 is Overpass. Way better map. CLG really showing Liquid up here. Not quite a stomping, but lots of great plays by Ricky, Kusta, Ethan, like everyone on the team played really well. We won that map 16-10. We beat Liquid 2-0. All right, let's move on to Smash. We got some Smash 4 coming on. This was 2GG's tournament, so they usually run a monthly tournament, but they've been really hyping this one up. It's called Civil War this time, mainly because they've got 2 of the best Wii U players in Zero and Ally, who is TSM versus C9, which is a pretty big matchup. They had that going on, and that's kind of why they hyped it all up. And both Void and Natcat went, with Void Void participating in singles, doubles, and on Team Zero, and Natcat going for doubles and singles. So we'll start with singles, and we'll start with Natcat. First up against RK, he crushed him 2-0, then he beat Tails 2-0, and then he beat Grim Turtle 2-0, and then Felix 2-0. His first loss came in the winners round 1 against T, who is actually considered the best Link player in the world, and he got 0-3'd by Link. He got 0-3'd by T. Then, unfortunately, in the losers bracket, he loses to Axe 1-3, making Knockout finish 33rd. So, not the best showing by him, but you know what? Knockout's a great guy, and he definitely showed a good time. And then we have Void. He crushed Icy Wind 2-0. Then he crushed Impose 2-0, Lucy 2-0, and Day 2-0 in pools. Unfortunately, just like Knockout, he had a hard time right off the bat in the winners round 1. And he lost to Hikaru 1-3. And then, getting knocked into the losers round, he came up against Anti and lost 1-3 to Anti as well. Means Void also finished 33rd. So again, not the best showing by the boys, but I think they had a good time. Then we'll move on to doubles. So the boy plays really well here. In doubles, of course, as usual, Knockout, Void, great combo. They beat Shasa, that's a hard one to say, Shasa Lucid 2-0, and then they beat Prophet and Doomlion 2-0. Then they got dropped to losers by Legit Teb, who beat them 2-1. There they met Sura and Razo, who they 2-0'd, And then they 2-0'd JJ Rockets and Sonido as well. Then Nakat and Void 2-0'd yet again Earth and Fua in the losers quarter to move on to the losers semi, where guess who they met again? Legit and Teb. It was a good fight. Unfortunately, they did lose 2-1, meaning that they finished just outside the top 12 at 13th. Alright, so we'll move on to Melee here. And SFAT played this weekend. Our good old boy SFAT. He did play singles and doubles. Unfortunately, Pew Pew U, I'm not really sure where he was at. So, kind of sucks, but it was him. It was our boy SFAT playing. And this was at the Full Bloom 3 tournament. It had quite a number of attendees. I think it was in the 400s. Yeah, 410 people. All right, so we'll start off with singles here. SFAT clean swept his pools, sending himself to winner's bracket where he met up with probably one of his biggest rivals in the Fox scene, Drug Fox. He got 3-0'd right out the gates in winners, sending SFAT to losers. But, I mean, he wasn't even close to being tilted. This man really, really shows how you just sit down, concentrate, play your best. You're going to make it back. And he stomped his way back. He even had to beat Leffen in the losers bracket in a crazy close match. Classic TSM CLG rivalry. But we know who wins. CLG 3-2. Then, right after that, without almost no break actually, he played against West Balls. Not as hard as Leffen, but holy crap, is that close. 3-1s him. Then, the man who sent him to losers, Drug Fox, was up next. SFAT gets his revenge in a tight but awesome 3-0 win. In the top 4, he faced off against Axe, who actually plays Pikachu. And Pikachu is a slippery little one. He ended up going up 2-0 really quick over SFAT. But then because it's a best of 5, SFAT's like, yo, I'm in CLG, man. I got to give you guys heart attacks. Let's do this reverse sweep. Boom, 3-2 win, SFAT. And then in the top 3, he ended up coming up against Duck, who plays Samus. Now, just so you know, Samus is actually a pretty hard matchup for Fox. She's really quick. She's got a lot of ranged attacks, which is really hard for Fox to deal with. In the end, it's where SFAT loses. He goes 3-1, but he finished 3rd in singles. That's pretty sweet. And then we'll move on to doubles. SFAT actually get to pair up with Hungry Box for this tournament, which is pretty cool. It sucks that it wasn't Pew Fat, but you know what? Hungry Box, he plays Jigglypuff. It's crazy little combo having a Fox and Jigglypuff together. To start off, in the pools, they beat Avian and Yamham 2-0. Then they beat Threesh and Weeaboo 2-0. Then they beat Forhees and Onisur 2-0. And then Axe and Trick, who are actually playing double Pikachu, which I don't think I've ever seen before. They beat them 2-0. And then they go up against the good old SFAT Drug Fox rivalry and MacD, who they beat 3-1. Then, out of the losers bracket, in the finals comes the Moon and Swedish Delight, who they 3-0 and go, get back into losers. And then, after a couple matches later, while they sit around and wait, boom, guess who comes out of the losers for the grand finals? Yup, the Moon, Swedish Delight. This time it was a lot tighter, but you know what? SFAT shows and Hungry Box show, these guys are great. Boom, they win the whole doubles tourney, 3-2, SFAT Hungry Box, the winners. And that's about all from this week. I know there was some H1Z1 news. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to look it up. I've been pretty busy lately. But I really want to thank you guys for listening. I just want to give you a heads up. I do have 2 spare tickets to the playoffs here in Vancouver for LOL. And look for us in the next week or 2. I think we'll be having a competition, a giveaway to see if 2 CLG fans want to join me in Vancouver. So look for that in the next coming weeks once we get everything kind of set up and ready to go. As again, want to say thanks for tuning in. I've been your host, Artrin, and look for us later on. Peace out.